Today we are going to unravel the mysteries of how to light a group shot for a commercial. A table of 6. My goodness. Hi, I'm Steven. I've lit thousands of setups for commercials. Welcome to Light Study, where I break down lighting in videos so you don't have to. Let's see what we got here. All right, so this is an Arabian McDonald's commercial. Very fun, very fun. Well, let's just watch it and see what happens. I'm going to speed through the beginning just so that you know what we're going to be watching. I know it's fast. Don't worry. We're going to go through it. I'm not going to go through every single shot because I don't think I have to. All right. So I think that's enough there. So let's see what we got going on here because now you have an idea of the space. So first off, we start off with this wide shot, right? And I'm not going to comment on the cinematography, but they did, because I don't do that here. Lights are cooler than camera. That's just the way it is. But they did shoot into the yellow of the room, which is great. Oh, it's wonderful because it creates all this depth and stuff. Now, speaking of depth, where are the lights? How do they light this, right? There are 2 main sources that I can see. One is probably very likely an 18K right out here. And where specifically, oh, you can see it. It's hitting this thing and is blowing that up. And it's what's casting the, oh, you can even trace it somewhere over there. Ah, okay, so it's actually right there. Just out of frame, 18K, right? And it's doing this stuff, right? It's also hitting this thing on the other side and it's casting this shadow. So the light itself is hitting all of this, hitting all of this, this. It is doing a tremendous amount of work on the scene. It is beautiful. That is gorgeous. Tremendous. Tremendous. If all this is making sense, then you should check out my free guides to common shooting scenarios for commercial work. StevenLightStudy.com is linked below. Okay, so that's the 18K, right? How do I know it's an 18K? Because that's what you would want to use. You don't want to use a 9K or a 4K. 18K. Why? Because it allows you to blanket a larger area. And this is quite a large area. Something like, was it like 30 or 40 feet of distance from camera all the way to the end? That's a lot of work. It's either that or you use a whole bunch of small lights. But if they did that, you would have seen like double shadows. They didn't do that. So this is an 18K over here, right? And then they have some kind of, there's a warm light hitting the mom. Now you'll notice this is the only time that they use this because I've already watched through it. But it's the same light that's hitting this guy over here, the grandpa. It's a hard light. It is a hard light, and it's coming from over there somewhere. Given that we are shooting while this is in a building, I would still say this is a daylight scenario. On location. It's an on-location daylight scenario. I would make this, see how warm this is? There's two things that it could be. One, it could be a 1200 HMI with a full CTO, very potentially. But why would you do that? Why would you cut all of that light? What are you gaining with that? You're just gaining your wattage, so you can plug it into a wall, right? But if they already have an 18K here, then they have enough wattage, and they don't need to plug into a house fixture. So what I think that this is, it's either, I would make it a 5K tungsten, and I'm damn certain it's tungsten because you see how warm this is, and then you see how cool this is. Oops. See how cool, I say this is cool. It doesn't look cool, but you can see how cool this light is. This is 5600 straight up. That's 5600 all day. That's what's lighting up this. But this is 3200. And that's the same thing that's hitting mom in the face. Got a little spill there. And it's casting this slight shadow. It may or may not have some diffusion on it. I can't imagine that they would just poke a straight up hard light, but it sure looks like it. It may, whatever. It's a Fresnel of some kind. Tungsten Fresnel. I would go with a 5K because if it ends up being too much light, you can always scrim it down. They come with these scrims that you can pop in them. Or you can also put like diffusion on the barn doors, or you can just put a big frame in front of it. But they didn't put a frame in here. It is, as evidenced by this, I think that it might have some like diffusion on the barn door, but it's hard to tell. Anyway, so that's it. You have an 18K, boom, then you have, I would say, a 5K tungsten over here. And that's that. Let's move on and see what exactly, oh, by the way, the white balance for this show, I believe, is 5600. It is 5600. That is the white balance. That means that this is going to show up as really warm. This is going to show up as really warm. These lamps are all 3200. They're all tungsten colors, right? They might be LED, but the color is tungsten. So these are all 3200, and that's why they're showing up so warm. I've noticed that, at least with Indian shows, oh, look at this. There's a little hard light. That's just a practical. They didn't place that there. That's a practical, or it looks like it is anyway. I mean, why would you place a hard light hitting half of that? Anyway, I noticed at least for Indian shows, they like to have warmer and contrasty spots. I wonder if the same is true for the Arabian stuff. I don't know, but I like it. So in that case, it's kind of a culture thing. America might choose to make it more neutral white, whereas these folks, they went for more bolder white and then warm color. Okay, so yep, these guys are walking straight into that light. That light is shooting all over the place. It's doing beautiful work. Beautiful. And by the way, it is at 90 degrees. If this guy were facing us, half of his face would be lit. Actually, it might be a little bit past 90. If this is 90, it might be like over here. Maybe that's where the light is. It doesn't really matter. It doesn't have to matter. It can either be 90 or it can be in the kicker spot. It doesn't matter. I think 90 is better because it allows them to rake this back wall and hit these folks at the same time. That's the best spot. Best placement for this scenario. Okay, so here, this is the reverse shot. So the boy is in this spot. And if we move forward, he's got a frame on him. You see how soft this is? Now, kid faces are naturally going to appear soft. It's because of the texture of their skin. Their skin is so perfect. There's no imperfections, is what I mean. That it appears, it's just soft. Even if you poke a hard light at their face, it would appear soft. That's just the way that their skin is. And so, but I think that they still have like a 4x4 frame on this side. And what I think is they got the wide shot first. They got this shot. And then whenever they came over and did the reverse shot, they killed the lights in the background, and they probably moved that 5K over here and poked it into this frame, scrimmed it down, and gave him this nice soft push. That's what I would have done, because then that preserves this shadow in the foreground, so that all you have is your window light kicking him, and then you have your soft light off to the side hitting him, and then again it just preserves shadow in the foreground. All right, let's move on and see what else we can get. That's just a cutaway, it's just a grab. Oh, by the way, so there is a top light. I want to say it's a top light. Yes, you can see it right there. There's warmth right there. There's warmth right there. Warmth right there. This is brighter. There is something coming from this direction as well. But there's a top light, and it's probably, like for the group shot, they probably have like something overhead. Maybe a balance. I'm not quite sure. Let's see what we got. All right, so there's mom. This is the same shot as before, as the establishing shot, so they got this coverage first, and so this is the same edge hitting her. This is the same edge hitting her right there, and it's lighting up all of this stuff over there. It's lighting up her shoulder. It's lighting up her ring. You can see it's right over there, outside of frame. Oh, it's even hitting the girl's hair. And so that's what that's doing. Yeah, there it is. You can see it beautifully, right? Oh, you can even see the glint in the eye. Beautiful. Did I see? These folks are getting lit by something up here. That could be a house fixture, or it could be something that they placed themselves. I want to say that it's a house fixture. I don't know, but it seems kind of bright. Oh, no. Oh, they're getting hit by the same light that's hitting Mom. So whatever that light is, it's far enough away that it's edging everybody. That is a good way to do it. Instead of just attacking, you know, like one person and then letting the background ride off of, like, say this the fixture over here, so that you have just the top lit, and then they're going to be like, it's inconsistent. You have one source here, but then you have another source here. Instead, what they did is they made it one source here that hits both the foreground and the background. That is beautiful. That's wonderful. Fantastic job, guys. It makes it easier. The simpler solutions typically look fantastic. They look fantastic. All right, and then here's that reverse shot of the kid again. Oh, you can even see right in the eye. There's something there. Not on that one. So it must be like 90 degrees. It's either a bounce card or it's a frame, or maybe it's like white sheets, white tablecloth. I'm not sure. At McDonald's, it's not a white freaking tablecloth. Come on, Steve. All right, it's definitely a fill card. Definitely a fill card, because you can see the shadow right here. See this shadow right there? See how that shadow doesn't really exist here? There is a shadow. It's that part right here. But you see how much brighter this is versus this, which means that they did that whole classic fill card under the face, which I can't stand. I can't stand. Why, Steve? Why do you not stand for that? Because it's unnatural. Since when is there a white blob underneath the chin and nowhere else? If you light from the top, the shadows will take care of themselves. Oh, okay, so here's the 18K actually acting on the lens right up here. You see this? Check this out. Let's try that one more time. Yep, there you go. It's a flare. The source is right over there. It's coming in. It's doing its thing. It's right over there, and it's edging. So this is where the 18K is. Oh, wait. Why does that look warmer? It's almost like they placed another light there, and then they have the 18K doing this. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. It could be, but I seriously doubt it. Like that light was like hitting everything, and so you would have the light continue doing its thing. I think maybe it's just like passing through maybe a lampshade or something. I'm not quite sure. I don't know why this is warmer. But sometimes when you have a background light that's hitting, you know, your middle ground, and it's also hitting the background area, it might not have enough reach to hit your foreground. And in which case you'd have to place a second fixture to take over. I don't think that's what they did here, but it is warmer for some reason. It might also just be the flare of the lens that's doing that. No. It's definitely another fixture doing that. Anyway, moving on. All right, so yep, you have this definitely a source doing the same thing like before, and then you have the window. You have the window acting, and you can see it because it's this long strip. But in the middle of that strip is a dot, and that dot is your 18K. So both of them are working together, obviously. If it's not obvious, it is now. Boom. But check this out. Oh, fudge. Okay, so, oh, never mind. It looks like the fill side of her face is the same level as the fill side of his face right over here. But I want to say that this has been knocked down. Okay, so now we've changed the lighting. So you can see, check out the kiddo. And then now check out the kiddo. He's lost this key over here. This key. This 4x4 glowing source has disappeared in favor of just the 18K acting on them. And you can see it obviously. Ooh, it's blown out. Ooh. And then it's so much weaker there. Why? Why? It should be just as hot here as it is there, as it is there? I don't know. I don't know. Unless it's shooting this direction and the outside edge is tapering off. And so these people are getting the brunt of it. And then these folks are getting less. But I don't know why you would do that. You're not seeing the background, you're seeing this. And so I would have made sure that that thing would, it has the power to cover this. I don't know why it's doing that, but that's the way it is. But like I said, they moved that. Oh wait, no, there it is. Somebody was blocking it. Yeah, what? Somebody was like blocking his light. It doesn't really matter. No, it's the same light. There you can see it. It doesn't matter. They removed this thing because that light was coming from literally where the camera is. The universal symbol for camera right there. It's right there. That's the camera. Anyway, so it was coming from right here. And instead of moving it around so that it flat lights him and gets rid of all of the shadow, they just killed it. And that's what you can do. You can totally do that. Totally. Oh, actually what they did is they wrapped it way around to backlight him. So it is creating this. There's a source right there. It's over here somewhere. And that's what's lighting up the little girl's face. So the same source is hitting her face, and then it's creating a back edge. It might be like they have it right up against the wall over here. You can't see that. It might be that they have the light source like right up against the wall, and they have a light poking into it, and it's going, and it's hitting her face, and it's doing all of this, and then that's what's going to be casting. That would cast an edge. That's what I would do, and I suspect they probably did the same thing, because that'll give you the most distance away from both subjects. If you instead put your fixture right here, and then you have a diffusion, she's going to be hella hot. And then he's going to be not bright enough. So I'm pretty sure that I would have done that. Just bounce into it. Like that. Boom. Anyway, moving on. All right. Oh, okay. So you can look into those eyes. The eyes tell you. They give it away. Looks like they have, I don't know what that is. Maybe that's the table. Maybe they put a white card on the table. But this right here is a white card under the chin. And you can see it clearly. All of this part is getting lifted up. Stop doing that. You don't have to do that. What you could do instead is place a white card right here. And that's going to fill the face. And it's going to lift up the chin ever so slightly. And if you want, make it bigger. Super big. A 4x4, this is a freaking close-up. A 4x4 is going to see from top to bottom, which means it's going to see under the chin. It's going to see over here. It's going to fill in all these spaces. It's going to even fill under the nose. You don't have to place a white card under here. You don't attack spots. You light for the world that your subject sees, and that will then take care of the scene for you. So you have to trust in the process. And instead, they chose to place a little white card under here, which is creating this distracting glint where they could have just doubled up on making this side brighter or more filly, and it would have done the same job. Because now look what the white card's doing. Yes, it's filling in this space, which I don't care about. I don't give a shat, but it's also lifting this. And then you've killed all your contrast. This kid has contrast. Look at that. Do you want to know why this kid has contrast right there? Oh, you can see it right there. Do you want to know why there's contrast right there? Do you want to know? Have you figured it out? I'll tell you. Because they're on a long lens, which means that they can't put a white card any closer to the dang face. I mean, they can put one under here. They could totally do that, actually. But because they're on such a long lens, they just let it ride, which is great because it gives you this wonderful contrast. Oh yeah, look at that darkness. Oh yeah. And it looks like, oh, that aside, this is that, I want to say it's like 216, 216 with whatever tungsten fixture they had. Tungsten, it's T. T for tungsten. And that's what's doing this, right? It's what's lifting the face. All right, so we got that out of the way. This right here, you can even trace those lines. Oh, there's a flare. That's I think they moved the source downwind. Yes, they moved the source outside of the window, downwind, so that it's, because the window is ending like right here, and so they have the source like right there on the edge, so that it can give Dude Bro his edge. Flares the camera. It gives Kiddo his edge right there. So they've changed the light, because the light was originally coming from what would now be 90 degrees to camera. And then they've changed it so that it's coming from, so that's 90, it's coming from the 45 degrees, so that's the kicker position. And kicking it is beautifully. Gosh, that's gorgeous. That's a preserving the shape on the face from shot to shot as it relates to camera that is the way to go. It's more work because they had to move that light over here, which means moving all the cable, maybe moving the generator. And then you have to shift stuff on the inside. You might even have to shift like where the people are. That the kid might not have been here. He might have been like facing that direction. Then they had to move him, so now he's facing this direction. You know, it takes more work, but the end result is wonderful if you can preserve this shape. You get contrast, and like I said, contrast is what sells. Contrast is not what sells the image. Contrast is what makes the image pop to the brain. And because if you had just stuck with what they originally had set up and tried to only stick with your original set and work around that, if you had gotten this shot here, the shot of this kiddo, he would have been side lit. All like this. All of this would be lit. And it would be exactly half. Half of his face would be blown up. And then the other half would be in this tungsten warm light, and then it would be flat. Sort of. I mean, you'd have contrast coming from the side, but there's no shadow. You would have zero shadow. This shadow wouldn't exist. And so what they did is they moved. See, do you see how lit his face is? It's not very lit, right? Compared to the 18K. This right here is pretty dark, right? It's not pretty dark. It's darker than the 18K. This right here is the window. That's the window light coming in, and this is the 18K. 18K, and so you have this beautiful contrast. So you have bright stuff next to dim stuff, next to bright stuff. That's contrast. Moving on. Yep, same shot. We already covered that. Yeah, so this is probably relating more. This is to the first setup. The first setup is where the 18K is over here. 18K is over here, and it's doing this. There you go. Edge. Boom. Same thing. Same thing. Okay. So what I'm looking at is a difference in the people in the background versus the people in the foreground. Even she's different. And this setup is going back to the original, our first wide shot, where the 18K is coming from 90 degrees. So the 18K is at 90 degrees, which is giving you this beautiful side light. If this kid was facing camera exactly, he's facing more this way, but if he was facing camera, then the entirety of his face would just be lit up. Now, my point is, that's the direction that the light is going. It's just going. There you go. She's getting lit right there. It's beautiful, beautiful side edge. Woo! There's the hot spot. 18K right up there. What I'm looking at though is, like I said, the difference between the background and then the foreground. His head is getting hit, so and you can barely see it, but there's this light veiling over here, and you can see it most in Mom's. It looks like there's like haze, right? Well, there's a source over here. Let me pop out. There is a source over here. And it's what's casting this edge there. Ooh, it's actually like this. Or it might not be. No, it's definitely coming from this side. And then just the roughness of the material is collecting it. So it's out of frame. And it's this right there. And it's doing this. And, oh, yep, there you go. It's further out. But it's doing this, right? And it's lighting up this part of Dad's white covering. And it's lighting up a lot of this. So this is probably, is that 90 degrees? It's not quite 90 degrees. It's further in. Because if this is 90, the light is coming from like, it might be from the kicker. It is from the kicker position. So it's at 45 degrees. That's where this light is coming from. Because you can tell by looking at the little girl, her face. And you can see there's a shadow right here, there's a shadow right there. If it were 90, she's facing directly she would be facing directly at the light, and her whole face would be mostly lit up. Instead, it's casting a shadow from the bridge of the nose to right there. Oh, barely. Yeah. And yeah, it's ending right there. So again, I think it's a diffusion frame. I think that they have a frame, they're poking a light into it. Then the kiddo wants to eat, but they're, ooh. And so I wondered if they had a top source just to light up the whole family. I don't think they did. I mean, there might be like just a house fixture, but I don't think it's glowing that much. Is it? Is it? It's hard to tell. You can do that though if you want to. It's going to, but you have to understand that if it's covering the entirety of the table and you're getting this shot of the mom, you're getting this shot of the mom, her face is going to be just flat. And that's just what'll happen. So to preserve that contrast, you can instead rely on your atmosphere that you've made, your back edge, and then your fill can be I think they're pushing something over here. Obviously the window light is playing, but it's not that much. There's definitely a source. You can see right there. There's a source somewhere over here that's pushing onto the face, and it's what's casting this ever so slight shadow. That's what's creating that. You know what? There is a top light. I can see it. Barely there. Barely there, underwear. There's a top light. It's very faint, and I think that's going to be a 3200. But because it's faint, it's still filling in. You can see how warm this is because of it. But it's not doing a lot, which leads me to believe that it's just a house fixture. It's a house fixture, or you know what we call in the industry the old HF. That's what we call it. I'm just pulling your leg. It's not that. Don't tell people that. You're gonna get made fun of. Yeah, and they filled her face. This dude has got. I mean, they just filled his face. Just to lift it up, so it's not so dark right there. And they probably used maybe a white card, or maybe they used that 216 with the tungsten. Doesn't matter. And this is just another punch-in shot, and you just bring in a white card to help with fill, and that's it. did they, it's hard to tell if they put it underneath his chin. It doesn't matter. Don't do it. Moving on. All right. Oh, yeah. And this is a happy accident. And I'm not going to say it's not necessary, but it's something that's fun that happened. You see this strip right there? That's not a frame or a white card or anything. That's just because remember the light is in the kicker position, so it's casting all of this edge here, and it's what's casting an edge there, right? This strip is this guy's shoulder because it's hitting his back. It's hitting all of his back, and it's just bouncing back, and it just happens to be lifting his face right there, lifting this kid's face all the way over here. It's bouncing into his shoulder. I used to be told whenever I first started off, like, to control stuff like that, like put a cloth on his back or something so it's not too bright or whatever. And that's just silly talk. It's a natural thing. It's a natural bounce. It's a natural. It only needs to be addressed if it's distracting. And in this case, it looks fine. There's nothing wrong with it at all. The less work you make for yourself, so long as you treat the whole room, the easier it gets, man. Look right here. There is so this is the second setup, and look there. I think did they change the position of the table? No, I don't think so, because this is where that trash machine was. And I don't think they changed the position of the table at all. The 18K used to be right here. And now for that reverse shot, they moved it over here. Then they just kept it this way. And so now it's doing this, and it's casting this edge here. And now it's doing this. It's casting this edge. It's casting this edge. Obviously, it's hitting little girl. And it's barely hitting mom. They left a gap open enough for it to barely hit mom. And then kiddo's not getting hit. He's barely getting hit. Yeah. But also, you see how well lit his face is? Is it a bounce? Oh! They have two sources. Holy crap. Oh, they do. So they have their one source right here, but then they have another one from over here. What is that? 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 They have that source, I think, is over here. I'm going to change the color. They have a source here. They have a source there. This is the 18K, 18K, if I can ever write. And then this dude is a tungsten. It is their tungsten. And it's that 5K that's got a diffusion on it. And it's what's creating this edge there. Oh, man, is it? Because this looks white. But you can see there's an edge on the kiddo. You see this right there? That's not tungsten at all. That's white. They have another HMI. They have another HMI. HMI. But it's smaller. This one is clearly the big boy. Or what we like to call the BB in the industry. That's what we call it. And you can trust me. It came from my mouth. I said it, so you can trust me. Yeah, they got two sources. They got two HMIs, one doing this and one doing that. But you can still see that he's getting lifted and she is lifted. I want to say that there's a source. Gosh, what is that? It might be just like his white cloth that's doing that. It's hard to tell, but definitely they have something overhead doing. You can see the reflection there, but what was that reflecting? They have something white over here. Absolutely. They have something white on this side, and you can see it. Yeah, yep, they do, absolutely. It's lighting up this, it's lighting up this, it's lighting up the hair. I guess I couldn't see it due to the veiling, this flare from this freaking 18K, but it's absolutely there. Because you can see the hair is lit up if you can move past the freaking haze. The hair right there is lit up, and the whole back is lit up. Her head, that's lit up, and it's the same source that is this reflection and that reflection right there. So they have this big, soft, maybe they have a couple 4x4 frames. Maybe it's, because what I would do, and it's good that they did this, I would have a couple white cards with a source shooting into it. And that's going to wrap around, or even like a couple 8x8s. It's a horrible, just a couple 8x8s, or a couple 6x6s, you know, and then a source shooting into that. And it's not blocking their big kicker. And so that's going to do all of this work. And it's going to lift the faces of the whole scene, because the bigger you make it, the cracks it fills in, the bigger you make it, the further away you can put it, and then the more it will evenly affect the scene. As far as the tungsten, then you can see that there's a warmness. I think over here, there's absolutely something going on here. Maybe it was there for the whole scene. It's hard to tell. There's always more to learn, and I've made an easy introduction into commercial cinematography with the popular interview styles. It's available free at StephenLightStudy.com. It's linked below, along with one of my favorite resources, Create Against 10 Rules for Students and Teachers. And hey, if this still isn't enough, I'm also offering critiques of your work, up to 2 scenes a piece. Just check the schedule for live recordings. Availability is limited, but there is a second evergreen option if you want to submit it. I would be happy to help critique your work. There you go. If you want to see more of this, stick around, subscribe, and I will see you later. Peace.